everyone, this is Dr. Drizzle, and welcome to the National Parks Expedition Challenge. Today, we're at the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. And we're here with two rangers, Ranger Dani and Ranger Neil. So we're going to start with Ranger Dani. Ranger Dani, thank you for having us here today.
No, thanks for being here, Daisha.
So tell us about how you got to this park.
Well, about 15 years ago, I was in college at Slippery Rock University, and I got an internship with the Student Conservation Association, which took me to my first national park job in the Great Smoky Mountains in Tennessee. So I actually worked with black bears that season. I fell absolutely in love with the Park Service. And so my next season, I worked with black bears in Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Parks in California. And I fell in love with the West at that point in the Sierra Nevada mountains. And so I got into interpretation, where I started connecting visitors with the park. So I worked there seasonally. Then I got my first permanent job at Sequoia National Park, and I was there for a total of 6 years before I moved to Cape Cod National Seashore in Massachusetts, where I switched up my love for bears for my love of sharks. And then after 4 years at the Cape, I got a job at Biscayne National Park in South Florida, where I could continue my love of ocean parks. And then after that, after 3 years, I saw this wonderful opportunity pop up at Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area, which is the type of resources that I loved as a kid and grew up in. And so it was an opportunity I couldn't pass up.
I love that you have followed the bears, the sharks, and from what I understand, more bears even here.
Yes, I'm so excited to be back to the bears again.
So Neil, Dani tells us that she followed the bears. How did you get into the park? Did you follow animals?
Yes.
Oh.
Humans. People. So I started off as a volunteer at the C&O Canal National Historical Park and really broke into the agency serving by way of a volunteer.
Okay.
My first position was a seasonal position at the National Mall in Washington, D.C. And I cut my teeth there and had the opportunity and the privilege to move up the ladder, so to say. And over the years of time there, worked up the 579 ladder as a park ranger and into a supervisory position, which evolved into a lateral opportunity at Hopewell Furnace National Historic Site. I've been serving as a supervisor there for the last few years and had an opportunity to work on a detail out at Sequoia National Park for the better part of 4 months, which was incredible.
Wow.
I find myself on a detail here at Delaware Water Gap, which is equally as amazing as Sequoia in so many different ways. So it's been a journey, but I cut my teeth as a volunteer, and I don't think there's any better way of getting into the service by way of giving back and doing so on your own time and dime.
So what is a detail? Can you tell the kids? Because we've heard quite a few rangers tell us that they've been on a detail.
Sure. So it's a short-term assignment, developmental opportunity, so someone can spread their wings, can travel, can meet new people, can have different opportunities to take on new challenges, and take back what they've gained in those respective short-term assignments to their base park. In this instance, I'm here at Delaware Water Gap. I'm going to take back all these awesome opportunities, these experiences, the knowledge gained here to Hopewell Furnace. And the hope is that we can build and expand there based on all the great things that I'm picking up and learning here at Delaware Water Gap.
So basically, Neil is here on a field trip, a very long field trip that he's learning from. And I know you're excited to have him here, but maybe also sad that it may be over soon, right?
Oh my goodness, yes. I wish I could keep Neil on my team forever, but it's been such a wonderful experience to have him here helping out, and we're doing some amazing education programs with him on board.
Nice. Well, we're obviously in a beautiful place, evidenced by this great waterfall behind us. But tell us a little bit about this place and how it became a national park.
Sure. So in 1955, Hurricanes Connie and Diane hit the East Coast. Here in the Poconos area, it caused a lot of river flooding. And so there's a river called Broad Creek here nearby that flooded so badly, actually 100 people died.
Oh.
And so Congress commissioned the Army Corps of Engineers to start looking at damming the Delaware River for flood control. And so they looked at some old studies at the feasibility. They started acquiring land. So all the parkland was acquired by the Army Corps just for building this dam. So it would have all been underwater. And so the 60s came around, the environmental movement got going. There's some grassroots opponents to the dam project. Congress started taking a look at the costs of building the dam and the actual feasibility, and it wasn't great. So by 1975, they'd shelved the project entirely. And all this land was turned over from the Army Corps to the National Park Service to become Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area. So now we have 40 miles of beautiful, uninterrupted river. It's part of the Middle Delaware National Scenic and Recreational River that runs through the park. We've got a section of the Appalachian Trail that runs through here.
Wow.
We have over 100 miles of trails. We have absolutely amazing opportunities for fishing and hunting and hiking and just paddling the river and spending time in nature.
Okay, well, that's a lot of places to get yourself lost here, right? And maybe just lost in nature is not a bad thing. What are some of your favorite things about this park?
This is incredible. I mean, we are literally standing here in the amidst the tallest waterfall in the state of Pennsylvania. We can feel it, sense it, taste it. It is incredible to be a part of this resource. And there's just a plentiful opportunities. I mean, there's fishing, there's hunting, there's camping. Like Dani had said, there's hiking here, there's boating. It is a paradise for folks that are trying to get out and experience a wild place in this area of the country. We're close to New York City, close to Philadelphia, Baltimore and DC aren't too far from us. And it's a refuge, in a way, for many people in this region to come out and explore, to experience nature in its full force. This place is awesome.
What animals would we find around here?
Other than humans,
Other than humans?
we have black bear, there are river otters here, bald eagles, there are little newts. There are things that are nocturnal that come out as well. But, you know, I have seen some pretty interesting things here. And one thing that surprised me recently was a goat crossing the road. Yes, there was a goat crossing River Road about a month ago. We were driving down, and I was like, that's not a deer. That's something. I don't know where it came from, maybe from, a family, a residence here. But you never know.
Right.
You never know what you're going to see. That's one of the things that's exciting about working and living here in the park.
Okay. Now, Dani, you grew up around here, correct?
Yes.
So when you were younger, did you come here and recreate?
I actually, as a kid, never made it over this far into eastern Pennsylvania to visit Delaware Water Gap. But when I was in college, I had one of my best friends who worked here as a seasonal law enforcement ranger, and I would come over and visit him. And we'd come right here to this spot, and I fell in love with the park. I was hooked on it. And so I knew that if I ever saw an opportunity pop up at Delaware Water Gap, that I would not be able to resist applying. It's just the type of resource that I grew up in and fell in love with, and now that I get to work in it, all the better.
What are your favorite things to do when you're not being in charge here? Are there special activities here that you like to participate in?
Yes, getting out on the river is amazing, whether you like to paddle or kayak. I've even gone out on a giant raft on the river. There's lots of opportunities to get out on the water here. In the summer, it's really nice on a hot day, and even in the fall with the foliage. I took a fall kayak trip this past season, and it was absolutely magical.
We know that all parks face challenges, right? And you told me there were how many visitors a year?
We have about 4.2 million visitors.
4.2 million. That's quite a lot of humans, animals,
It is.
around here, walking, living, camping. What are some of the challenges that comes with that?
Well, we're excited that so many people get to enjoy the park, but with that comes a lot of impacts. So, in some of our busiest sites, people tend to make their own trails. Sometimes they leave behind trash, and all that has impacts to our wildlife. We also have really well-preserved cultural artifacts here that dates back to the Paleo-Indian time periods. And so those cultural resources can be impacted by the amount of people that we have coming to the park and recreating and leaving things behind and trampling the grounds and that kind of thing.
Neil, do you also see the impact of humans here? And if you do, what types do you see?
Sure, with folks getting off trail, the compaction erosion, sedimentation, and with that increased runoff that can find its way into the tributaries and the river proper. So there are a lot of residual things that can be resolved, or I think remediated, by some very simple measures. But that is a challenge, I think, with the high visitation that is here, and the curiosity and the expectation that visitors have. We want to meet people where their needs are and where their preferences and expectations are. At the same time, we are charged with helping to protect and preserve this site for future generations. And something as simple as staying on a trail that is designated can make a big difference.
Yeah. So we know that here in the park, there are places where you have to stay on trail, especially in this area. In fact, you really can't get off trail unless you climb over the fence. And we're not going to do that today.
It happens
Thank
a lot.
And it happens. So we're going to see if we have any ideas from our students that we work with. So if that's okay with you, I'm going to issue a challenge.
That would be wonderful.
Nice. All right, kids, so it's your turn to help. We know that you want to be good stewards of the national parks. And in order to do that, you have to understand the park, and then you have to make sure that you're educating other people when they come to these parks to do the right thing. We've all heard about the leave no trace mantra that national parks and natural areas in general have. So we're going to ask that you use goal number 11, which is sustainable cities and communities, and goal number 15, which is life on land. We want you to work with a partner and collaborate on ideas to help Ranger Dani and Ranger Neil as they think about how to preserve this place and also give visitors the opportunity to explore when they want to, because this is just a great place to be out in nature. Think about, could you create signage that would say, whatever you pack in, you pack out? Could you create ideas for informing visitors, maybe at the visitor center, a video or a PSA or a QR code that says, hey guys, my name is, and I'm from here, and I'm a steward of the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area. And here's 3 things I want you to do while you're visiting and enjoying yourself here. So if you like to go out on the river like Dani does, make sure we talk to people about not throwing your trash in the water. Again, packing in what you pack, or pack out what you pack in. Staying away from areas that could cause erosion. So stay off the banks of different areas. Don't climb fences. I'm also thinking we're going to say don't feed the animals, right? So if you do go off trail, if there are areas where you can do that, what are you going to make sure you do if you run into animals? I think the sky's the limit on this one. I'm not going to give you particulars. I'm just going to ask that you become a good steward of this park by giving ideas about maintaining the trails they have and making sure that when people are off the trails, they're treating the land with respect. You talked about people being here earlier, the Paleo Indians. Were there other land acknowledgements here at the park?
Yes, we have a rich history with the Lenape tribe here at Delaware Water Gap.
So we want to remember that too, guys, that we weren't here first, someone else was. So as we're exploring this area, being reverent and being respectful to the land. I can't wait to see what they create. How about you guys?
I'm on board.
I'm excited.
Yeah. So once you get all of these ideas, we want to make sure that you get the credit for them. They're just going to share them with the people they work with. So we want you to share on social media. All the credentials are running across the bottom of the screen right now. Make sure you tag us at Expeditions and Education, tag the National Park Service, Delaware Water Gap, and use the hashtag NatParkChallenge. We cannot wait to see what you create. You know, Dani, this being a new position for you, not been here very long, this is going to help you out a little bit when you take this to the people that you work with.
Absolutely. We love the help.
So not only are they solution seekers, problem solvers, they're also very envious of that hat that you have on and that hat he has on. So if you would do me a favor and look in that middle camera, can you give them a little bit of encouragement or advice on how they can wear that hat someday?
My advice for someday wearing this hat would be to find your nearest park. Doesn't have to necessarily be a national park site, but maybe it's a state park, maybe it's an environmental center, whatever it might be, look for that, find that, and volunteer. Because all of that will look really good on your resume one day for applying for a job at the National Park Service.
Great advice. And what about you, working with humans? What advice can you give to these tiny humans?
The tiny humans will focus on where your energy is. At the end of the day, when you're at home and you're working on schoolwork or maybe talking with friends or family about the highlights of any given day, what is it that trips your trigger, so to say? What is it that lights your fire? What gets you motivated and energized? And use that energy in a way that is positive, in a way that you can give back, and no better way than volunteering. That would be the best advice I can give you. And there's no set rhyme or reason how people break into the agency, but I can tell you there is a consistent thread, and that volunteering is a great way for people to break in, spread their wings, and get a feel for what we have to offer and the significance of our mission.
Well, I think that in a few years, you guys may have visitors at your park that try to get those hats.
Yes.
So I think that's a great idea, right? We're building up the future core for the National Park Service, either here at Delaware Water Gap or at Hopewell Furnace, or at any of the over 425 parks sites from the National Park Service. So I can't wait to see them someday taking over your job.
Absolutely. Come take over our jobs.
I mean, they look young, but they're going to be old soon, so you can come get their jobs.
That's true.
So thanks so much to you, Dani, and you, Neil, for allowing us to be here today. It's been a great day, and you have provided probably one of the most awesome backdrops we've had in our 130 plus filming. So thanks for that. We want to thank you kids for joining us today. We can't wait to see what you create. So until next time, this is Dr. Drizzle, Ranger Dani, and Ranger Neil, and we're out of here. Bye, guys.